Dwarkadish, Rukmini Dwarkadish, Rukmini Dwarkadish. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol Jaya Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Padavajak Acharya Asatura Sata Sri Śrīmad ISKCON BBT Founder Charles Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitya Lila Prabhupada Om Vishnu Pad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nabhasaḥ Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kahosh Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopanath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Gira Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Brajabhumi Namadam Ki Jai Shri Namadik Mai Pradam Ki Jai Shri Lachal Jagannath Puridam Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Their most beautiful lordship Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish Ki Jai Shri Rukmini Dwarkanath Ki Jai Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai Shri Yashoda Damodar Ki Jai Samabeta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Going back to home, back to Godhead, Ki Jai. ISKCON, Los Angeles Yatra Ki Jai. Brihad Bharanga Chancellor, Book Distribution Ki Jai. International Food for Life Chancellor, Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Glory Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswatim Yasam Tato Jayamudhirayat. Before reciting this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, who is the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regularly attending the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, whose worship with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're continuing reading from the third canto of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. This is chapter 26, and today's text is 33. Let me just find it here. Today is also the appearance of Virabhadra, who's also known as Virachandra. He's one son of Nityananda Prabhu, the only surviving son. So there's quite a bit about him in the CC, so we'll read a little something about him at the end of the Bhagavatam presentation. Artha-āśrayatvam śabdasya draṣṭur liṅgatvam evacha tan-mātratvaṁ ca nabhaso lakṣaṇaṁ kavayo viduḥ artha-āśrayatvam śabdasya draṣṭur liṅgatvam evacha tan-mātratvaṁ ca nabhaso lakṣaṇaṁ kavayo viduḥ artha-āśrayatvam śabdasya draṣṭur liṅgatvam evacha tan-mātratvaṁ ca nabhaso lakṣaṇaṁ kavayo viduḥ. Please chant. Artha-āśrayatvam śabdasya draṣṭur liṅgatvam evacha tan-mātratvaṁ ca nabhaso lakṣaṇaṁ kavayo viduḥ. Artha-āśrayatvam śabdasya draṣṭur liṅgatvam evacha tan-mātratvaṁ ca nabhaso lakṣaṇaṁ kavayo viduḥ. Vaishnavas. Artha-āśrayatvam śabdasya draṣṭur liṅgatvam evacha tan-mātratvaṁ ca nabhaso lakṣaṇaṁ kavayo viduḥ. Artha-āśrayatvam śabdasya draṣṭur liṅgatvam evacha tan-mātratvaṁ ca nabhaso lakṣaṇaṁ kavayo viduḥ. Okay, synonyms. Artha-āśrayatvam, that which conveys the meaning of an object. Śabdasya, of sound. Draṣṭuḥ, of the speaker. Liṅgatvam, that which indicates the presence. Eva, also. Cha, and. Tat-mātratvam, the subtle element. Cha, and. Nabhasaḥ, of ether. lakṣaṇaṁ, definition. Kavayaḥ, learned persons. Viduḥ, know. Srila Prabhupada's translation for this verse. Persons who are learned and who have true knowledge define sound as that which conveys the idea of an object, indicates the presence of a speaker, screened from our view, and constitutes the subtle form of ether. Please repeat. Persons who are learned and who have true knowledge define sound as that which conveys the idea of an object, indicates the presence of a speaker, screen from our view and constitutes the subtle form of ether. So Prabhupada's purport. It's kind of long, but sometimes we say this section of the Bhagavatam is technical, but it's not really technical. It's the Lord in the form of his incarnation presenting things as they are. We just have to hear. And we may not understand immediately, but it's not overly technical. It's just presenting things as they are because he created them. He knows. So he's telling us what he created. Prabhupada's purport. It is very clear herein that as soon as we speak of hearing, there must be a speaker. Without a speaker, there is no question of hearing. Therefore, the Vedic knowledge, which is known as śruti, or that which is received by hearing, is also called Apauruṣa. Apauruṣa means not spoken by any person materially created. It is stated in the beginning of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, tene brahma hṛdā. The sound of Brahman or Veda was first impregnated into the heart of Brahma, the original learned man, ādi-kavaye. How did he become learned? Whenever there is learning, there must be a speaker in the process of hearing. But Brahma was the first created being. Who spoke to him? Since no one was there, who was the spiritual master to give knowledge? He was the only living creature. Therefore, the Vedic knowledge was imparted within his heart by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated within everyone as Paramatma. Vedic knowledge is understood to be spoken by the Supreme Lord, and therefore it is free from the defects of material understanding. Material understanding is defective. If we hear something from a conditioned soul, it is full of defects. All material and mundane information is tainted by illusion, error, cheating, and imperfection of the senses. Because Vedic knowledge was imparted by the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental to material creation, it is perfect. If we receive that Vedic knowledge from Brahma in the cyclic succession, then we receive perfect knowledge. Every word we hear has a meaning behind it. As soon as we hear the word water, there is a substance, water, behind the word. Similarly, as soon as we hear the word God, there is a meaning to it. If we receive that meaning and explanation of God from God himself, then it is perfect. But if we speculate about the meaning of God, it is imperfect. Bhagavad Gita, which is the science of God, is spoken by the personality of Godhead himself. This is perfect knowledge. Mental speculators or so-called philosophers who are researching what is actually God will never understand the nature of God. The science of God has to be understood in the cyclic succession from Brahma, who was first instructed about knowledge of God by God himself. We can understand the knowledge of God by hearing Bhagavad Gita from a person authorized in the disciplic succession. When we speak of seeing, there must be form. By our sense perception, the beginning experience is the sky. Sky is the beginning of form. And from the sky, other forms emanate. The objects of knowledge and sense perception begin, therefore, from the sky. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swamine Tanamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshtarne Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtang Sapitang Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijasayitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitangsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarubhya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaisavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So last night I was speaking at the Mantra House program, which is held in Veda Yoga Studio number 1, because now Kumi has a second one over on La Cienega. So this is Veda Yoga Studio number 1, and there's a number 2 on La Cienega. So we were discussing the Bhagavad Gita, 5 topics of the Gita, and the fact that, as I pointed out, I first came in contact with Bhagavad Gita in the early 70s in New York. You know, I was part of a group of young men. We consider ourselves to be intellectual, but our main focus in life was just sense enjoyment, getting high, and then philosophizing. As Prabhupada called such persons armchair philosophers. You know, you take a little bit of Taoism, and Buddhism, Hinduism, thisism, thatism, throw it all in a pot, mix it up, discuss it, give your opinion, and that's useless, as Prabhupada is stating here. If you want to know God, you cannot know God in that way, by just sitting around and philosophizing and giving your opinion and hearing other people's opinions. Modern presentation of so-called knowledge is ascending process. They think we have a base and we're building on that base. We're learning more and more and more. But you're trying to understand topics or subjects or objects that exist already. So your opinion on the topic is useless. You're not going to change the nature of anything by discussing it. A tree is a tree, and even if you don't understand, or an elephant is an elephant, the example given, that based on your perspective, if you hold the tail of an elephant, you think it's like a snake. If you hold the leg of the elephant, you think it's like a tree. So depending on what part of the elephant you're exposed to, you're giving your opinion, but it's not the full picture. And even the part that you're holding, you can't describe completely. So this way of getting knowledge is useless. Find somebody who knows what an elephant is, and they can tell you. They can even show you like that. Immediately, you know what is an elephant. Trying to figure it out by touching different parts of the elephant, by digging up elephant bones. They think by, paleontology, archaeology, they're going to figure out everything. So our Arcita Prabhu, who is quite a long time departed now, he used to make fun of them. They think that by studying stones and bones, they're going to figure out human origins. No, you just give your opinion about the pile of bones that you found somewhere. And that's not even accurate. They argue amongst themselves. Oh, this bone represents such and such dinosaur. Oh, no, it's that dinosaur. And they argue, write papers and argue about it. Useless. Those bones belong to a particular type of animal. And your speculating doesn't change that fact. You see what I'm saying? Our speculation about things, processes, objects, God ultimately, does not change the nature of the thing that we're discussing. That thing has a particular nature. And your speculation, at best, you can come up with maybe some part of it. And that's stated in the Shastra itself. Krishna says, Shabda Brahmani Nishnato, na Nishnaya Parayadi. Shamastasya, Shamapalo, Hiadenum Ivarakshata. So by your speculation, you can come to the conclusion that there is an eternal existence or substance beyond the material world. Because we all have experienced that everything material deteriorates. It takes birth, lasts for some time, maybe produces some byproducts, dwindles, and then passes away. That's the nature of everything material. That we can experience. There's no argument about that. But that which lies beyond this realm, material realm of birth, maintenance, dwindling, and disappearance, that which lies beyond, we can't speculate on. At best, we can come to the conclusion, yes, there must be some permanent existence somewhere beyond this one. But the nature of that permanence, as Krishna is saying here, Shabda Brahmani Nishnata. Na-nishaya pare. But if you don't approach the Supreme to learn about the Supreme, then all of your knowledge is useless. Shamastasya shamapala. There bears no fruit. And the example Krishna gives is, he adenum ivarakshata. So denu means cow. He certainly. Adenum, when you put a before anything Sanskrit word, it means not, just the opposite. So when is a cow not a cow? When she doesn't give milk. Now, he's not saying, he's Krishna, he's the keeper of the cows, Govinda. He's not saying, don't keep a cow that doesn't give milk. He's not saying that. He's just saying that if you're keeping a cow nicely, thinking that she's going to give milk, and she's not going to give it, and then it's useless. You have to understand what you're doing. So they're trying to milk the cow of their material intelligence, trying to figure everything out. And it's not going to produce the milk of absolute truth. It's not going to give you that. So, in this verse, it's being pointed out that if you want to know God, you have to approach somebody who knows God. Yeah, and that person, we have to see that they're connected to others who knew God. In other words, there has to be some disciplic succession. We don't accept anybody who just pops out and claims to know everything and they want to tell everybody everything. Okay, so who told you? Oh, I figured it all out myself. Immediately, as if I had the runner's bell, ding, 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 ding. No, we don't accept that. You cannot figure it out. You cannot figure it out. The classic example given is, as a child, you cannot figure out who is your father. You have to approach your mother. Now, if you don't trust your mother, that's another thing. But generally, mother is trustworthy, at least on that topic, to tell you who your father is. So the mother in this case is the Vedic literature. And the father that's being described is Krishna, ultimately. Supreme Controller, who possesses an eternal form of blissful knowledge. That's Krishna. And if we want to know Krishna, then we have to approach someone who knows Krishna, either Mother Yashoda, if we are good fortune to come in contact, or, as this purport points out, everything was told to Brahma, tene, brahma, hṛdā, ādi-kavaye. He's the original learned person, and how did he get that knowledge? From within his heart. Tene, brahma, hṛdā, from within the heart. And then he, understanding his responsibility in disseminating this knowledge, he gave that knowledge to Narad Muni, gave it to Vyasadeva, and in this way it's coming down in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. And we are very fortunate to be connected to that Sampradaya through Srila Prabhupada. And what vast knowledge have they given us? It would take lifetimes, at least for myself I know, to minutely study and know what's in Prabhupada's books. And he said he didn't give everything he wanted to give. He wanted to translate all the Goswami literature, and he wanted to translate some of the Puranas. So much more he wanted to give us before he left. But what he gave already, Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, all of that, it would take lifetimes to really, really dive in and understand all of it. It's just amazing that one personality, literally working just a few hours at night, because it's not like he spent his whole day translating and commenting. During the day, he was doing so many things, giving classes, going to places, so many things Prabhupada accomplished during the daytime. And at night, after a few hours rest, he would get up and translate, right here and in other places also. So it's just amazing that that process produced such depth of knowledge that most modern scholars, they can't even begin to appreciate what Prabhupada gave. Some of them were fortunate enough to see that, yes, there's something here. So when the library party went around to all these universities here in America and all over the world, they were eager. These scholars, they could see just from one or two samples of Prabhupada's books, yes, we will pay for the full set, and you send it to us when it comes out. Just see the faith they had. Would you do that? Really? Would you do that? Somebody comes with, when I was growing up, we didn't have TV and internet, so our knowledge we got from, at least my family, we were always buying the latest version of Encyclopedia Britannica. Because we trusted that as a source of knowledge. My mother was a school teacher. My father was, you could say, a pundit. He was not a teacher directly, but people had faith in his knowledge. And so they would always buy. So, of course, the encyclopedia salespeople would come around, salesmen in those days. Women didn't go from door to door in those days, but the salesman would come eventually every 6 months or whatever and knock on the door. The new version is coming out in a couple of months. Are you interested? Of course, we would immediately sign up. So it was kind of like that. Prabhupada's disciples went around. There was a library party. Satyanarayana Prabhu was part of it. You can ask him for direct experience. They would go to different colleges, universities, and show just one or two samples of Prabhupada's books. Do you want to sign up for the whole Bhagavatam? It'll be complete in 60 volumes. And yes, and they would sign up and pay in advance some money. So this is the potency of Prabhupada's writing. Sometimes like what they say, when you're too close to something, you can't appreciate it. Like trying to understand the elephant by feeling the tail. So we're so close to Prabhupada, sometimes we don't appreciate what he did in terms of giving us all this Vedic knowledge accurately, without injecting his speculation into the process, because it becomes useless. The presenter of transcendental knowledge has to be, as we call it, a apparent via media, so that they don't cloud the understanding, telling you, well, it says that, but I think this. And we see in other traditions, they're still doing that. There are symposiums like I'm going next month to the AARSBL conference that I go to every year, American Academy of Religion and Society of Biblical Literature, AARSBL. And to this day, so-called scholars are still debating the Bible. This section means that, or no, I think it means that. They write books on their thinking and feeling and what they feel about this section of the Bible or some other Quran or whatever. But our process is not like that. We are not sitting around trying to figure out this and that and then writing some speculative knowledge about it. We accept exactly what's given. Prabhupada heard from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, and he's given us exactly the same understanding coming down. Of course, when he did his translation and commentary, he had the other commentaries there also, Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti like that. But those are all in line. There's no major difference between anything that Vishwanath said or Jiva Goswami said or like that. Just maybe a different aspect being emphasized, but it's the same jewel that's being presented. So we should take it to heart, to read Prabhupada's books, try to understand them, try to present them as they are. Don't speculate that he meant this or he meant that or whatever Prabhupada said, that's what we present. It may not be palatable to this group or to that group, but it doesn't matter. We take the knowledge that was given as it is and present it as it is. So, I think that's pretty clear. We're just going to leave a few minutes here to read about Virabhadra Prabhu, the lone remaining son of Nityananda. Nityananda Prabhu had other sons, but they didn't survive. It's implied that some of them died because Abhiram Thakur, the one who would go around, and anybody that he would pay obeisances to, if they were not pure, they would die. So apparently a couple of Nityananda's sons died under those circumstances. Abhiram Thakur came, paid obeisance to them, and then they left their body. But Virabhadra Prabhu, or Virachandra is also known. He survived. So we're just going to read something about it from the CC. All right, where are we? So this is Adi Lila, chapter 11, text number 8. And it goes on beyond, but I'm just going to read 8 and Prabhupada's translation and purport. Shri Virabhadra Goshani Skanda Mahashaka Tannar Upashaka Yatta Ashankya Taraleka. Translation. After Nityananda Prabhu, the greatest branch is Virabhadra Goshani, who also has innumerable branches and sub-branches. It is not possible to describe them all. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, quote, Virabhadra Goshani was the direct son of Srila Nityananda Prabhu and a disciple of Janavi Devi. Janavan Devi. So when people say, oh, women can initiate, yes. Women can pass on the same knowledge. There's no restriction. If as a woman you hear from the guru and you repeat the same thing, then you're a guru. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody has to be a Diksha guru. And there's one famous discussion Prabhupada had with one gentleman who was asking him, what's going to happen after you leave? And Prabhupada said, they will all become gurus. So some people don't like to hear that because they think only select. But the implication is that everybody should qualify themselves to become a guru. It's not a rubber stamp thing. My guru, I heard from him and therefore no, you have to be qualified. And if you present yourself as being qualified and you're not, then not only do you embarrass yourself, but you're an embarrassment to the disciplic succession. So one has to be very careful. Don't try to present yourself as something you're not. Anyway, Virabhadra was a disciple of Janava Devi. His real mother was Vasudha. In the Gaura Ganadesh Dipika, he is mentioned as an incarnation of Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. Therefore, Virabhadra Goshani is non-different from Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In a village of the name Jamatapura, in the district of Hugli, Virabhadra Goshani had a disciple named Yadunatha Acharya who had 2 daughters, a real daughter named Srimati and a foster daughter named Narayani. Both these daughters were married and they are mentioned in the Bhakti Ratnakar. Virabhadra Goswami had three disciples who are celebrated as his sons, Gopijana Vallabha, Ramakrishna, and Ramachandra. The youngest, Ramachandra, belonged to the Shandilya dynasty and had the surname Bhattavyala. He established his family at Kadadaha, and its members are known as the Goswamis of Kadadaha. The eldest disciple, Gopijana Vallabha, was a resident of a village known as Latta near the Manakara railway station in the district of Burdwan. The second, Ramakrishna, lived near Maladaha in a village named Gayeshapura. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur notes that since these three disciples belonged to different gotras or dynasties and also had different surnames and lived in different places, it is not possible to accept them as real sons of Virabhadra Goswami. Ramachandra had four sons, of whom the eldest was Radha Madhava, whose third son was named Yadavendra. Yadavendra's son was Nanda Kishore. His son was Nidhi Krishna. His son was Chaitanya Chanda. His son was Krishna Mohana. His son was Jagan Mohana. His son was Brajanath. And his son was Shyamalala Goswami. This is the genealogical table given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur for the descendants of Virabhadra Goswami. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. So genealogy is important in our line. We don't just repeat philosophy. We also concentrate on the devotees, who their parents were, where they came from, where they lived. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta did a great service to our spiritual line by doing all this research. And not only did he give all the names, but he also told you which railway station was nearby. Amazing. This is our good fortune. So we should take advantage of this good fortune. At least give oral reception, as was stressed in today's purport. This knowledge is coming now by oral descent. So we should just at least give oral reception to all of Prabhupada's books. We may or may not understand everything completely. Doesn't matter, Prabhupada says, just by hearing the sound vibration, purification takes place. Virabhadra Goswami ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.